He's gonna be going this freeway, Chris, off our left, the 5. Okay. Hey, Chris, is that for Bravo? Is in the HOV lane, northbound 5 freeway approaching Harbor Boulevard. Thank you, Chris. Northbound 5, northbound 5. Well, the California Highway Patrol remains in pursuit of this vehicle out of South LA. And now on the 5 freeway northbound coming through Anaheim. They're calling it 100 miles an hour. This is why this vehicle is wanted. It's wanted for speed. California Highway Patrol tried to make a stop on the vehicle, and the car took off on them at a high rate of speed southbound on the 405. We picked it up right at the 605-405 interchange in Long Beach. It continued down picked up the 22 freeway eastbound, and has now transitioned through the Orange Crush interchange, northbound 5 freeway from that interchange. Now the next freeway is going to be the 91. I'm going to push in here. We're having to shoot this from a high altitude because of the Disneyland flight restriction that's in place. So we're at about 3,100 feet right now, and you'll see as I come out to the wider shot a line of California Highway Patrol units behind the pursuit. You got 7 ahead of us there? Okay, sorry. Okay. Come back in for a tighter look as we continue northbound. He's coming up to the 91 here in about a mile. He's across Brookhurst, coming up to Magnolia, then the 91. He'll have a chance to get on the 91, go east or west, but if he stays in this lane, he will not be able to. We'll see if he does a last second move to get on that 91. Trying to get a look in the windows. They look heavily tinted at the 91, and looks like he'll stay committed to the 5 freeway. California Highway Patrol still tracking the vehicle 100 miles an hour. It's pretty much maintained that #1 lane since he got on the 5 freeway. Let's see if we can, yeah, let's try to catch up if we can. Okay. Northbound 5 freeway, the driver's going to be getting into some heavier traffic here through the construction area between the 91 and the 605. We're seeing that more and more traffic there now. He has no HOV lane, or just a basically 3-lane freeway through here, the construction. He's got the 605 freeway up ahead of him, but not for a while yet. Traffic will ease up here a little bit because this area of the freeway has been, opened up a bit due to the construction. It's much improved, so we have a couple more lanes to choose from, but the pursuit continuing at 100 miles an hour, northbound 5. In and out of traffic here. Again, the traffic is a little bit better through this area because this portion of the freeway is somewhat complete, if not completed already. And the next interchange will be the 605, where he can go north or south or continue northbound on the 5 back to LA. This all started again. Want on this vehicle was for speed out of South LA. The CHP tried to pull this car over. The driver continued to drive off at a high rate of speed, 100 miles an hour plus at times. Southbound 405 picked up the 22 freeway in Los Alamitos Seal Beach area and moved through Garden Grove, picked up the 5 here northbound at the Orange Crush interchange, and it continues to come now coming through Norwalk. I'll widen out for you. The traffic isn't as bad, although in about a half mile it's going to start to back up due to the interchange coming up the 605. So he had a break there of traffic. Now it's going to get interesting because the driver's going to have to go, just like you're seeing there, into the shoulder portion of the freeway. It is a wide shoulder, and the traffic's starting to bottleneck up ahead, and you're seeing him having to pass, having to slow down a little bit too, but still high rates of speed here on the northbound 5. Crossing Pioneer, Florence will be next, and then the 605 freeway. It's got a wide berth there, a lot of room on that shoulder. As I widen out, you see traffic is really crawling along right through here. So a brief moment of clear roads for the most part has led to this back up here, and he's just all over that shoulder, going around some traffic signs. He's going to run out of room though on this. It's going to narrow up ahead, and he could get stuck behind some K railing. We'll see if that happens, but for the most part, he's going to have to squeeze into that traffic somewhere. There's the K railing. He did not get trapped in there, but now he's going to have to weave his way in and out of traffic here. It's going to get a little bit scary as the roads or the lanes narrow again. Let's take a look at CHP right behind him. They're not going anywhere. They're staying right behind him. Northbound 5 freeway coming up to the 91. I'm sorry, the 605. Committed to the northbound 5. No problem. No worries. No worries. He's out our side now. We got a good look. Getting a close look here at the driver. With it looks like the window is down. He's got a checkered shirt on. Still at a high rate of speed. He's already passed the 605. Trying to tell if there's a passenger in that front seat or not, and it's hard to tell. It looks like, for now anyways, just the driver. Very casual on the steering wheel with his left hand. He says his right hand moving around a little bit. We'll come out wider now and show you we're northbound 5 crossing Lakewood about 80 miles an hour. You can slow it up just a little bit, Chris. And there you go. It's coming out your side now, Chris. 3 o'clock. Okay. Weaving in and out of traffic. Speeds have slowed down about 80 miles an hour. He was up to 100 most of the time on this chase. The driver northbound 5 coming into will be coming into the Commerce area very soon. You'll have the 710 freeway as an option up ahead. Now speed's really slowing because of that traffic. Northbound 5 is across Paramount. Of course, again, the want is speed on this vehicle. That's what the CHP are saying. They try to pull it over at speeds of 100 miles an hour, and the guy just fled from him. It looks like at this point, a solo driver. It's unknown if there's anybody else in the back seat. We can't see through the tinted windows. Might be exiting, we'll see. Is all the way over to the slow lane, but coming up on the Commerce Casino, we can pick it up a little bit, Chris. So if he stays in this lane, he'll be able to exit, of course, any exit, but we'll see if he exits here near the Commerce Casino. Nope, he's going to go past that slower vehicle. Northbound 5 crossing Washington. He's going to stay on the freeway right there, and then he's going to be able to pass the Citadel outlets. And then in a short distance away is the 710 freeway, where he'll have some options there. If it wasn't for the traffic, he'd be driving much faster. We saw him at speeds 95 miles an hour on the 22 freeway. When we arrived overhead, we heard speeds of over 100 miles an hour early on in the chase. And even on the 5 freeway from the 2257 interchange, the speeds were up to close to 100, if not at 100. Let's catch up a little bit, Chris, if we can. He's got the option right now to do the 710 from this lane. He can go northbound 710. The lane's going to open up to the left. There it is. He's going to pass. He's going to use that lane. So if he stays in this lane and does not get out of it, he's going to have the 710 freeway northbound. If he changes lanes, he can get onto the 5 freeway northbound and continue. But right now, he's set up for the 710. We'll see if he tries to fool the police at the last minute and take the 5. And no, he's going to do the 5. Northbound 5. He got out of the lane and he's northbound 5. Chrissy's going to continue north on the 5. Let's try to catch up a little bit more. All right, so he's away from the 710 freeway northbound. It's going to get a little tricky with the freeways of the East LA interchange coming up, so we're going to try to get over a little closer if we can to the pursuit. At the East LA interchange, you'll have some options. Northbound 5, westbound 10. You can also do the 101 freeway northbound. He's right down the center of the freeway at a high rate of speed. He's picked it back up again. And Chris, if we can slide closer to the freeway. Coming up to the East LA interchange, and staying in this lane will take him onto the 101 freeway, I believe. He's going to go out of that lane. He's going to stay on, it's going to either take him to the 5 or the 10, and that particular lane, we'll see what he does. It will get a little tricky here if he goes 10, because the freeway will dip down. Northbound 5, he's going to go northbound 5, Chris. Committed to the northbound 5 freeway. Chris, northbound. Well, let's see here. No? 10? CHP calling it northbound 5, but it might be the westbound 10. No, that is northbound 5. And as soon as he comes out of that slow right bank turn, he's on the gas once again. Northbound 5 crossing Whittier. The next freeway will be the 10 freeway. This is coming through the Boyle Heights area right now of LA. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Gil Davis in News Chopper 4 Bravo, along with my pilot Chris Sanders. We are following a high-speed chase that started in South LA, has made its way back into well, Boyle Heights are close to downtown LA now. Northbound 5 freeway approaching the 10 freeway. Crossing Cesar Chavez there. 95 miles an hour, and he might be, let's see what he does here if he takes the, he's going eastbound 10, Chris. He's going to go eastbound 10 freeway. He's going to go right around that car. It's a sweeping turn there, so we'll see what he does if he's able to handle it at these speeds. There's the turn. Keep it flat, Chris. And there he goes, eastbound 10 freeway. Well, we've seen him on the up here, but it's pulling away from us, Chris. Mic check, testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, into Wilson. Copy, thanks, Chris. Hey, Jamie, you're coming in really low level. I hear you. Go ahead. Okay, yeah, we were going through a hilltop change there, so I'll tell you on the over the microwave. Okay. Hey, Jamie, eastbound 10 freeway from the 710. This is El Monte, approaching El Monte. We have at least an hour and a half, if not a little more. 95 miles an hour eastbound 10 freeway. The vehicle refusing to pull over, the CHP behind it the whole time from South LA down to Orange County, back up the 5 freeway into downtown LA, Boyle Heights, then eastbound on the 10, crossing Alhambra, coming into El Monte, approaching the 605 freeway in several miles up ahead. Male driver with a checkered shirt. The want is speed on this vehicle. The California Highway Patrol continues to be in pursuit of the vehicle for about, I would say 45 minutes now, if not longer. Using the HOV lane right now to pass other cars. There's one of the units. I count at least three units and a motorcycle officer over behind the chase, and a CHP helicopter tracking it from above. We're hearing that the CHP describing the driver wearing a ball cap and the checkered shirt. We did see the driver at one point with the window down. Eastbound 10 freeway, speeds almost 100 miles an hour. He did not take the bus route there, but he's in the HOV lane. Easy travel for the driver. There is traffic out here. It's light traffic on the 10 freeway right now. Slowing down to about 90 miles an hour. Eastbound 10, just east of Baldwin Avenue. Speeds ranging from 90 to 100 miles an hour in that HOV lane. Back up to 100 now, coming up to Peck Road. He's moving quickly to the 605 freeway. He's crossed the 605 freeway twice now, down off the 405 when he took the 22 east, and now he's going to, and then when he took the 5 north, he crossed the 605. Now he's going to cross it again, unless he decides to jump out of that lane and take the 605. He can go north or south on that, but so far in the HOV lane, 100 miles an hour, and within about a mile, maybe a little less, he's going to have that 605 interchange to deal with. Now, the California Highway Patrol will not do a pit maneuver, of course, at these speeds, plus it's that heavier SUV vehicle, but a spike strip might be possible. However, this is might be a difficult task for the CHP officers ahead because of the wide freeway. It would have to be done just right and in a safe manner. He's approaching the interchange now, Chris. It looks like he's going to stay committed to the the 10 freeway here. Coming through Baldwin Park now, under the 605 freeway. And we'll just kind of keep an eye on him there as that bridge will go away here in a second. There it is, number 1 lane. Traffic seems to be a little bit heavier here now that he's passed the 10 freeway through Baldwin Park. Eastbound 10 approaching. It's starting to get there. Looking out the window, I can see heavier traffic up ahead on the 10 eastbound. It was light traffic that he was going through or with, but you see the speeds have slowed down because of that traffic. It's moderate, I would call it, right now. If we can slide closer, Chris, because There's no one out our side. We can get closer to the freeway because if he gets behind that wall, I'll lose him. Moved all the way over, it looks like, to the number 4 lane. Having to deal with more vehicles ahead of him. And there he goes, all the way over. I might be thinking about exiting here, but it's likely that he just moved over because of the traffic up ahead. All right, approaching the West Covina area now, and eastbound 10 freeway. Speeds have slowed down to about 70 to 80. There he goes. He's kind of on the brakes there a little bit. Behind an ambulance there. Going to go around the ambulance. Down to 65 miles an hour. Traffic will lighten up here a little bit for the driver, but he's got the Kellogg interchange coming up in a couple miles. We'll see what kind of traffic he'll handle there if he doesn't get off the freeway. Coming through West Covina right now, picking up speed, about 75 miles an hour. I did hear the California Highway Patrol talking about trying to set up a spike strip at some point, but again, with the speed and the amount of traffic that's out here on the freeways, it's going to be a difficult task, a dangerous task for sure for the officers trying to deploy that. It looks like 4 units of the California Highway Patrol behind this vehicle, wanted for speed, CHP helicopter as well above it. They've dropped back a little ways. I'll come out a little wider to see the first unit there. Calling it 95 miles an hour, so the driver taking advantage of the lighter traffic in this section of the freeway. But as I look up ahead, as he's quickly approaching the Kellogg interchange, he's got that slight climb through the hills. There is a little bit more moderate traffic up ahead that is slowing at this point. One thing we haven't seen in this pursuit is the driver being on surface streets. We've seen this pursuit on freeways only so far. Eastbound 10 freeway, passing Barranca. .95 miles an hour, starting to make the climb through the hills, the foothills here. So the driver in about a mile and a half is going to have an option to take the 57 freeway north or south or continue on the 10. Not doing too bad, even though the traffic is a little bit slower through here, a little bit more congested, but he's got a lot of, there's a lot of big rigs that are on the freeway through this section, and the cars ahead of him are moving actually pretty quickly themselves, so that's helping the driver get through this traffic. Approaching Via Verde now, eastbound 10 freeway. In the HOV lane, the traffic seems to be opening up a little bit here. Those cars that were ahead of him are really helping out. I see another California Highway Patrol unit that's going to be joining the pursuit here momentarily in the slow lane, so we'll see him come into the mix. And in a short distance here is the 57 interchange and the 71. Able to look into there in that front windshield. That's our exhaust we're shooting through, but that'll clear up here in just a second. We are approaching Pomona, Coming up to the interchange here, he's gonna go by us a little bit. And he's committed to that 10 freeway right now in that lane. Yeah, well, he's changing lanes, I think, to get around a car here, but yeah, go Chris, go. Well, he's committed to the 10 freeway through the 57 interchange you're seeing there in the 71. There is a closer unit that's getting involved there with the CHP. And we'll be approaching Fairplex right now. 10 freeway approaching Fairplex. There's the California Highway Patrol unit behind the vehicle. Eastbound 10 approaching Fairplex, 90 miles an hour. The California Highway Patrol in the air and on the ground behind this vehicle, wanted for speed. Crossing Dudley, eastbound 10. We are very close to the LA County Fairgrounds. A male driver, checkered shirt, baseball hat is what their CHP is describing the driver, the suspect here in this pursuit. We did get a look at him earlier, driving very casually at the time when we saw him. Eastbound 10 approaching Orange Grove, 90 miles an hour. We are coming through Pomona. If he stays on the freeway, we'll be going through Ontario. He'll have the 10 or the 15 freeway up ahead. That's not for a while though. But at these speeds, 90 miles an hour, he'll be getting there pretty quick. Slowest we've seen him having to drive is about 65 miles an hour in some of the traffic that he's hit. Eastbound 10 approaching town. Let's try to get in a little closer, Chris. Eastbound 10, coming up to Indian Hill. Indian Hill, approaching Indian Hill, 95 miles an hour. We'll come out to another wider shot so you can see. It's hard to tell the speed until you see the other cars he's passing, as we're tight there. And assignment desk, Bravo. Yeah, just giving you our status on field. We're still good. We're hour and a half, still good at an hour and a half. Eastbound 10 approaching Mill. Now the California Highway Patrol can stay behind this vehicle all day long because they have their different areas of coverage. Currently coming out of Baldwin Park, CHP, they're going to hand off to the Rancho Cucamonga division of the California Highway Patrol, and they will hand off the pursuit to those units. The ones that are currently in it right now, these Baldwin Park units, will return to their coverage area, and the pursuit will continue. So that's how it's been working all throughout this pursuit. South LA CHP units were behind the vehicle, handed off to Westminster units. Westminster units handing off to, I believe, the Santa Fe Springs for a while, and then East LA. East LA handed off to Baldwin Park, and now the Rancho Cucamonga units will be getting involved here very shortly. Eastbound 10 freeway from eastbound 10, we'll get the cross street in just a second. We are in Ontario, crossing Mountain. Coming up to Mountain, 95 miles an hour, and the speed's hard to tell until you see the other cars that look like they're standing still. We're good. Oh, okay, very good. Did the chopper pull off?
I don't think so. They're still here too.
Okay. Well, added to the mix up in the air, not only us in News Chopper 4 Bravo, the California Highway Patrol helicopter, and now a fixed-wing airplane from the California Highway Patrol that will be monitoring at a higher altitude this pursuit. So we're coming up into, while we are in Ontario right now, we're going to be passing by the Ontario Airport, and the 15 freeway will be the next interchange for this driver. It is a failure to yield, wanted for high speeds. And the big question is how much fuel's on board of this SUV that's going to allow this guy to continue driving at these speeds. So far, no incidences. The driver's pretty much been maintaining the travel lanes, although we've seen him on the center divider along the 5 freeway. In the Santa Fe Springs area, we saw him changing lanes, crossing all lanes. But other than that, he's been maintaining the same speeds, relatively speaking, depending on traffic. But as well, usually maintaining the same lanes. Here he is changing lanes only because there's slower vehicles in his way. There's the Rancho unit that's joining in on the pursuit. And there he goes, pulling in right by that car and getting right behind. So he's picking up the pursuit now. Rancho Cucamonga unit and the Baldwin Park units will drop off. Eastbound 10 freeway, approaching Archibald. And now the driver's going to have some decisions to make up ahead as he approaches the 15 freeway. This is right near the Ontario Mills Mall. Staying in that number 1 lane. If he stays there, he'll be committed to the eastbound 10. He's got the freeway interchange in about a mile. He's cutting behind us about our 7 o'clock. Looks like moving to 6. I lost him, so he's at our 6. Coming over to the number 2 lane because of traffic, and ever so close now to the interchange. He looks like he's trying to think about it here, and he moves into that center lane. Coming across, he might be thinking about taking one of the options here, north or south on the 15. But he's going to have to make that decision pretty quick here as we approach the freeway interchange. You can keep going, Chris. He's back over into the middle lane. It looks like he's going to stay committed to the north or the eastbound 10. But you never know, he could jump across that gore point last minute. How many times have we seen that? But no, not this time. Eastbound 10 from the 15. And he's picking up the speed once again. Eastbound 10 freeway coming up to Etiwanda. We are in Fontana now. The vehicle remaining at a high rate of speed, driving 95 miles an hour. Yeah. Thank you. Seeing some smoke coming off that front tire. He may have hit something, maybe a spike strip. We don't know. I didn't see the spike strip happen, but look at, he's going to be pulling over, I think, here. He's losing that front passenger tire. Smoke coming from that front rim. There might have been a spike strip that was set up under one of the bridges there, but it's hard to say. The driver is significantly slowing down. The gig might be up here as he approaches Cherry Avenue on the 10 freeway east. Come in tight to show you that That tire. There goes the tire, right off the rim. So now, let's keep it going, Chris. He's not stopping. Yeah, he's, if anything, he might have hit the gas there momentarily, and he's just in defiance of the officers behind him, just taking off. He's going to be passing a big rig here momentarily. Slowed down once again here, but he's going to continue right down the center of the freeway. Over in the number 1 lane. Fontana, we're in Fontana, eastbound 10 freeway at Citrus. Now the speeds have slowed, so because he's lost the tread on one of the tires, it's unknown if the spike strip was involved under one of the bridges possibly. But suddenly we saw just minutes ago the smoke coming out of that front passenger tire. Then he loses the tread altogether on that tire. Eastbound 10 freeway coming up to Sierra. Okay. We're going to be making a move here to cross over the 10 freeway because of air traffic for Ontario. Oh boy. Crossing over the north side, and we're going to continue to track the vehicle here. Here comes the CHP now. They moved up alongside that vehicle there, but for some reason, eyeballing that car. I'm not sure if that vehicle tried to get involved. But we might see a pit maneuver coming up if the speeds slow down enough to where they can do that pit maneuver successfully. Jamie, I'm going to try to look with the doublers. I already have one in. Let me see if I can see that front tire. Yeah, I think you're right. So we're looking at our front driver's side, and that looks maybe that it has lost its tire too. Might be on rims on both the front tires. Simon, editor Jamie Bankson pointing that out to me, saying that might look like he's down on his rims, and sure enough, it sure looks that way. But believe it or not, he's at 82 miles an hour on 2 rims. The back tires appear to be good. No pit maneuver at this speed, that's for sure, but if he starts to lose the rear tires, we may see the speeds diminish here, but it's unbelievable. The speed's 80 miles an hour with the 2 front tires essentially blown out here. And There goes some more debris from the car. It looks like those rims are starting to grind down. Rancho Cucamonga units of CHP are about to hand over to the San Bernardino division of the CHP. More and more debris coming off that front, as you see it trailing behind. And the CHP saying, be careful, there's metal debris coming from the rims. It is so dangerous to have both your tires missing and continue at these high rates of speed. The rims just coming apart as they grind down on the freeway. 80 miles an hour still. It's unbelievable. Coming up to the 215-10 interchange. Say again? Oh, wow. Even at a higher altitude? Wow. Okay. Well, eastbound 10 approaching the 215 freeway interchange, and the driver just defiant on two rims in the front. The rear tires seem to be good, at least for now. A lot of metal debris coming off those rims in the front. The CHP taking precautions for their vehicles so that they don't run over any of that metal. You see they've given a lot of distance there between the units. One staggered off to the right. This pursuit, if you're just joining us, this pursuit started in South LA on the 405 freeway. We first learned about it southbound 405 freeway around the 110 freeway. It made its way at a high rate of speed, 100 miles an hour into Long Beach, then merged onto the 22 freeway in Garden Grove, eastbound to the Orange Crush, the 5 freeway. He went northbound on the 5 from that interchange, past Disneyland, through the 91, up past the 605, all the way into the East LA interchange, where we took the 5 north for a little bit, and then eastbound 10, and that's where we are now, eastbound 10. We are in Colton. Through Ontario, we saw the front tires start to go low. We saw smoke coming from the passenger side tire, and the driver may have hit a spike strip. It's unclear. We didn't hear whether that spike strip was deployed or not, although he came out from under a bridge and noticed a short time later the tires were smoking on the front, and sure enough, we watched the tread come off of the right passenger front. Came over to the driver's side here and looked at the front tire there, and sure enough, he's down on rims on both front tires. So, but despite that, speeds of 80 miles an hour, approaching the 215 interchange. The San Bernardino CHP is now taken over as primary, or they're about to anyways. And the one on this originally was for speed. We're going to continue. Here we come into the interchange right now, but he's going to stay in that lane. He's going to be committed to the eastbound 10, so he's going to pass the 215 interchange right there. Coming through Colton right now, and he's going to continue east on the 10. Eastbound 10, crossing coming up to Waterman Avenue. Let's take inventory on that front rim. Just grinding away on that rim. Look at that. Both rims on the front. CHP seeing debris, metal debris coming off those rims. You see the ground just being torn up. A little puff of smoke coming off the rims there. More debris coming off the passenger side. Come out to a wider shot so you see where the police are, the position. The vehicle has slowed down significantly. Hey Chris, can we get in a little closer? I'm at the end of my lens. Driver might be having some difficulty steering right now. Those rims are just grinding down. Pretty soon he'll be on the axle. He's got a car in front of him that's a white vehicle. I don't even know if that driver knows that that car behind him is being chased. There he goes. He finally got out of the way. NOC from Bravo on Blue Ridge. Do you copy? Hey, NOC on the 161. I switched to Blue Ridge on the 450. NOC from Bravo on Santiago. How do you copy? If you can hear me, I can't hear you. Try Blue Ridge. NOC from Bravo on Blue Ridge. How do you copy? If you can hear me on Blue Ridge, I'm not hearing you at all. I'm seeing you key up, but I'm not hearing you. Hey Chris, I barely hear you. I'm on Blue Ridge if you can hear me. Hey, go ahead. Go ahead. I hear you a little bit there. Go ahead. Assignment desk, Bravo on the 161. Hey Jamie, can you let NOC know I can't hear them? If maybe they can try me on the 161, or if they can let you know what hilltop we need to be in, if that's what the problem is.
Yeah, for sure. Give me 1 second.
Hey, Chris, go ahead, go ahead. You're asking me the make and model? Okay, thank you. This is a Dodge Durango, and how's our signal? Are we okay still in the San Diego? I've checked that, Wilson. I can barely hear you, so you might want to try me on the 161. Hey, Jamie from Gill on the 161. How's our signal? Is our picture okay still?
Your picture looks good to me. Been pretty strong. I haven't seen any sort of breakup.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about that to everyone watching at home. We're having some radio issues being this far out. We're eastbound 10 freeway through Redlands. This is coming up on Cypress Avenue. This vehicle, driver determined to get away from the California Highway Patrol, down on 2 rims in the front. He's got his hazard lights on. Not as fast as he was driving before, but still trying to get away here. We're looking at speeds right around maybe 60 miles an hour. A wider shot, there's the CHP behind that vehicle, and he's continuing eastbound. Yeah.
I'm curious, how fast do these cars have to go to have a pit run on them? Is it pretty fast, you think?
Yeah, 35 miles an hour usually is the max, Jamie. So two issues with trying to do a pit maneuver on this vehicle. One is its size, but also the speed. Being that the driver's going around 60, 65 miles an hour, it's a little too fast for a pit. However, with the 2 front tires blown and down on the rims, I think the CHP is just waiting for that moment where the driver slows down enough to make it to be safe to do a pit maneuver. If what we're seeing holds true, it's likely that the driver hit a spike strip under one of the bridges on the 10 freeway near Ontario. As the 2 front tires are blown, the rear tires seem to be intact, and the driver, despite being on rims, is able to drive at the higher rate of speed, 60, 65 miles an hour. And he's maintaining that fast lane, so he's not having to steer the vehicle a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of curves in the road, maybe slight changes in the steering, but if he stays in that lane, he's able to maintain it for the most part straight ahead. But as soon as that driver slows down, either because of not having the control of the vehicle or maybe running low on fuel, we'll likely see a pit maneuver happen once the speeds reach about 35 miles an hour or slower. The traffic out here in this stretch of the 10 freeway is light, and so that should not be a factor with doing a pit maneuver if the speeds slow down. Eastbound 10 freeway, Yucaipa Boulevard. We are in the city of Yucaipa now. Out of Redlands, this driver being very defiant. South LA is where we heard of this pursuit starting up on the 405 freeway, and now he's just stretching out east into San Bernardino. Yucaipa right now, eastbound 10 freeway. Hey Jamie, that came in really broken. Can you text me?
I'll text you.
Okay, it seems like every other call it comes in broken on the radio. That time was loud and clear.
Just looking for a locator.
Ukaipa. Coming through the city of Ukaipa. That's the Ukaipa. Eastbound 10 freeway at Oak Glen Road, Oak Glen. A wider shot for you as the driver continues eastbound on 10. The CHP not going anywhere. You've seen a lot of debris being kicked up by those rims. Let's check on those rims right now and see how low they go, because they just continue to grind away at the freeway. We believe this is a Durango SUV. Rear tires seem to be intact. The front tires gone on the rims. And a driver unbelievably being able to maintain the higher speeds despite not having tires on the front. Oh, and now we're starting to see some flames. There goes part of the rim. I think the rim's giving it up. A lot of sparks coming off now. That front, look at that, just chewing away. It is now on the axle, I think. Let me open up. Yep, the rim is gone. Now he's going to look at that steering. He's trying to steer it. He's really on the rotors on that front axle. Not much longer on this pursuit. This driver's just grinding away on that front end. He's determined to get away, and he's going to hit the center divider. Oh, he almost hit it there. Trying to do what he can to steer the vehicle. We might see a pit maneuver. Here he comes away from that center divider. He's got some room there. Eastbound 10 freeway approaching Calamasa Boulevard. Sparks now being seen from that front end. Wow, just grinding away, sparks coming up now. We saw debris being launched off that front end that looked like it went over the center divider into the opposing lanes of traffic. A lot of sparks coming out the front. Look, it's all underneath the car. There's the brakes. You see the brakes dangling there, just bouncing on the surface of the freeway, about to give way. There it goes. Wow, look at that. Just the 40 miles an hour they're calling it. This is eastbound 10, 40 miles an hour. The brake caliper dangling, might have already let loose the rotor there, just bouncing around freely, grinding away. We don't know the condition on the passenger side, but it can only be the same because it's just been grinding away for the last several miles. Even a tighter shot there will open up the lens a little bit so you can see how that just, I mean, he's got to be riding on the body of the car itself. And this, well, we'll see. He might be thinking about giving it up, but he's at a speed now where they could do They're at a speed now that he can. They could probably do that pit maneuver, but I think at this point they're going to just let the driver just drive this until he stops. It might not be worth the pit maneuver. We'll see. Although there's no reason not to do it, other than you know, risking the officers there. But you see more parts coming off the passenger side, and he's really struggling now. He might hit the center divider here. Yep, he's going right at it, trying to brake, and he's going to come to a stop right here. Chris, get ready. No, let's stay right where we're at if we can. He might jump out and try to run across the freeway. We'll see. Right up against it. That's it. Let's hold here, Chris, if you can. And well, the driver's staying inside. The vehicle coming to rest right along the 10 freeway at Cherry. Let's see here. This is 10 Cherry Valley, exit 90. And now it's a felony stop. The driver not jumping out, not trying to run. All lanes blocked on the freeway, the CHP, and a K9 unit that's arrived also, that's been trailing the pursuit the whole time, at the ready in case they need that K9 to get in there. The driver, let's take a look, coming out, hands up. He's got a cowboy hat on now. Earlier they said he had a baseball hat on. Now he's switched to a cowboy hat. They're going to want him to keep his hands up and walk backwards away from the vehicle. He's going to close the door. It's unclear if anyone else is in the vehicle. He's going to want to keep those hands up though. And he continues to put his arms down. There he goes, walking backwards, starting to comply now with the officer's demands. He's going to walk backwards, and again, this pursuit starting in South LA, 405 and the 110 freeway. Wanted for speed. They tried to pull him over. The CHP did. The driver refused to pull over. It was failure to yield at that point. Made his way into Long Beach along the 405 to Garden Grove on the 22. Into Anaheim along the 5 past Disneyland. Went all the way up to the East LA interchange, into downtown LA, Boyle Heights, then eastbound on the 10 from there, all the way here to Cali Mesa. 115 miles according to my pilot, Chris Sanders. And here we go, the driver finally being taken into custody after running the car down to its front axle. Hey, go ahead, Jamie, go ahead.
Let's wrap it up. I want you to head back, get some fuel, let's try to get you in the 5 over one of these protests.
Okay, will do, thank you. And there he is, in custody. They're going to clear the car to make sure there's no one else in there. The last word we heard was it was just the driver, but the windows are very tinted, so they'll be doing that with the K9 that's going to approach the vehicle, and they'll likely put the K9 in there. We'll see. But that's our coverage here for this pursuit, ending safely with no injuries except to the vehicle. It was grinded down to its front end, basically, and there's the search of the vehicle. We're going to depart our coverage. We're going to end our coverage here and depart back for fuel. Make sure you join us for the NBC4 News at 5 o'clock for all the latest information on this pursuit and other news. I'm Gil Lavis signing off. We're done, Chris. Perfect.